Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. I'm Terra Harvell, founder and CEO of Harvell Hair Co., a hairstylist turned multimillionaire. Over the past decade, I've scaled a multi-million-dollar, highly profitable salon and built an 8-figure extension and education platform, Harvell Hair Co. I'm also the founder of Strata Salon Systems, a salon infrastructure that is actively disrupting this industry. Some people love me for it, and some people absolutely hate me for it. But I'm on a mission to give stylists and salon owners a different future than what this industry has historically offered, which is being overworked, underpaid, no real wealth, and a career that breaks your body with nothing to show for it at the end. And now I'm on a mission to expand that impact through owners and stylists who are willing to question everything that they've been told. This podcast is where I share what's actually working, from business strategy to leadership to building real wealth in the beauty industry. Let's go. I want to start this episode with something Layla Hermosi said recently that stopped me mid-scroll on social media. She talked about how the best companies are intense, how they create high performers, and how the people who leave those companies are often the quickest people to call that company toxic. Not because they were, but because the values didn't match. And here's the part that hit me. It doesn't make the company toxic. And it doesn't make the person bad. It just means it wasn't the right fit. And why can't we just swallow that as human beings? I've been in business long enough to have lived every single version of that story. And today, I want to talk about it honestly. What it actually looks like when someone leaves a high-performing environment and decides the problem was just the environment. How to handle it as a true leader, and how to stay locked in on what you're building when the noise gets super loud. Because here's the thing, when you're building something really big, really massive, and honestly impactful and sometimes disruptive, the noise is going to get really loud. And the best leaders, you have to stay focused on what you're building no matter what is going on. I mean, truthfully, someone could be out there doing the best deed for somebody and being the best servant that they were put on this earth to be. And I promise you, someone is going to say something about it. I think we've heard this story before. It's in the Bible. You should go look it up. We've heard the story over and over. This is just what happens. It's human nature. And we have to become people that are just okay with that noise, because if you are truly clear and believe in what you're building, then that noise becomes no noise at all. And here's the thing, if you're building something real, something that actually demands excellence from people, that has standards, that doesn't apologize for having a vision, people are going to leave along the way. It's just part of the story and it's part of the deal. And some of them will have things to say on their way out. This episode is about what to do with that, because if you're building something, you have 100% already experienced this, or it is coming very soon. Okay, let's start with the premise. The best companies in the world are not comfortable places to be. They are not designed to be comfortable. They are designed to produce results. And producing results at a high level requires intensity, standards, and accountability. And a culture where average effort is not celebrated just because it showed up and did their normal job. This is not cruelty, and this is not anything toxic. This is just actually what excellence looks like. Go study excellence. Go look at everyone that is doing something extraordinary, and I promise you it will look the same over and over. The problem is that in today's world, intensity gets mislabeled constantly. A high bar becomes unrealistic expectations. Accountability becomes micromanagement. A culture that requires you to grow becomes toxic. And the people saying those things are often the ones who weren't willing to meet the standard. And they need to make a story up that makes that thing okay. I want to be very clear with you. Toxic workplaces are real. Abuse is real. Environments where people are belittled, manipulated, or treated without dignity, that is toxic. And that is not at all what I'm talking about here, you guys. I fully believe that most business owners do not operate that way, although there are some. I'm talking about something completely different. I'm talking about the discomfort, let's stew on that a minute, discomfort that comes from being asked to operate at a level you haven't operated at before. I was actually this morning having a conversation with my team in my office, and we were talking about people being uncomfortable and just constantly fighting for air and, being in maybe our environment or just another environment that is challenging. And I was talking about, I think I was mentioning something along the lines of, I don't think people understand that even at, my level or my job title, or, even though I'm the owner of the business, like, I leave here with so much discomfort that causes so many insecurities, to be honest with you guys, that I have to fight those demons before I get home in the afternoon so I don't spew those things on my family and my 5-year-old son. And I know that's the same cycle that most everybody put in a discomfort or put in an uncomfortable environment that challenges them to grow is feeling the exact same way. And so those kind of feelings in the game of success never actually go away. And something that I've learned along the way, that success actually doesn't feel good at all. Like, there are some things along the way that, sure, like, you're like, yay, this is a win. This is a fun night. A couple of weeks ago, I got to host all of our partner salons at my home, and it was incredible. It was such a dream. It was beautiful. My team did this crazy, incredible job decorating. It was just a wonderful night. Like, those are the moments that I'm like, wow, this is great. This is paying off. And then, the next day I went in and found out how much that dinner cost. And suddenly the high that I was on was like, oh crap, is that worth it? But that's the reality of success, you guys. Like, it doesn't just show up on your door and it feels so warm and cuddly and you're like, this is what you deserve. None of that is true. And so I think that's the thought that people have that actually success is. And in reality, it's just really uncomfortable. And, you're usually working for a target that's going to give you the result that you want. And that result might make you comfortable. But the journey along the way, you have to just fall in love with being uncomfortable, even though that sounds insane. But you just kind of have to fall in love with that part and be okay with that and grow as a human in order to be someone that is capable of being uncomfortable without spiraling out of control mentally. And that's the battle right there of success. Usually that discomfort just comes from being held accountable. The discomfort of being in a room of people who want more for themselves than you currently want for yourself. That discomfort is just not toxic, you guys. That discomfort is called growth, and high performers don't just tolerate it. They go and look for those type of things and that type of uncomfortableness. Okay, let me just get personal for a minute because I think that's important in this journey and the fact that you guys trust me to listen to my podcast. But I think real stories are more useful than just talking about concepts all the time. But I've had people leave my organization and have things to say on their way out. I've had someone get let go and go to TikTok about it and make weird videos. And I've had people leave and question my character publicly. I'm not sure that they question it privately, but they sure do publicly very quickly. And every single time I had a choice. I could react or I could stay focused. But here's the one thing that I think about most. I've had someone leave who worked a 30-hour-a-week job. 30 hours, you guys. And in those 30 hours, she was taking home around $90,000 a year, benefits included. Support included, a career path laid out in front of her, and when she left, the reason she left was that she couldn't be a good mom working that many hours. And what I want you guys to understand about this is it doesn't make that person a bad person. It doesn't. There's nothing wrong with that thought process. Like, absolutely never. But when things change is when stories are being manipulated to cater to their reasoning for that decision. And I want to be really careful here because I have enormous respect for the weight of that decision. Being a mom is absolutely everything. I understand that more than I think most people know and understand about me. But I have to be honest with you because 30 hours a week at a $90,000 take home with full benefits, paid time off, and a company infrastructure supporting her on every side, that is not a schedule that is keeping someone from their family. That is one of the most generous professional arrangements in this entire industry. And the framing of that the company is at fault is just, it's worth examining. And something that's going to continue to happen to salon owners that are building high performing environments. Because here's what I learned from that. Sometimes the story we tell about why we left says more about where we are than where the company actually is. And I don't say that with judgment. I say it because I think it's actually important for people to hear, both the people leading organizations and the people inside of them. Not every environment is right for every person at every season of their life, you guys. As hard as it is, because I battled this same exact thing, as someone that is building a business, you cannot take people's decision personally. Now, what you can take personally is the false things that they spread. I think that that's rightfully so. There's not one person in this world that wouldn't take that personally because we work hard to build, we try to do right by people. That's most business owners, especially ones that I work with. Everyone is trying to be very morally sound. They're withholding great core values. Are we perfect? Absolutely not. When someone leaves, should you pay attention to the why? Absolutely. But here's the thing. You just have to swallow the thing that your business is not right for every season of every person's life. And that is okay. It is totally okay, you guys. But where I think protection comes in and, where maybe the need to protect yourself comes in is there's a difference between this isn't the right fit for me right now and this place was the problem. And one of those things is honest and one of those things is just a story. So the one thing that business owners, the point of this podcast is that this helps you kind of cope with this journey because this is something that we all deal with. But building and protecting what you've built is okay. And I'm giving you that permission. That's why I'm so glad that you're listening to this right now because I'm giving you permission to actually protect. But I'm going to talk to you about when is the best time and when is it appropriate to go in protection mode versus just ignore and keep your eye on the prize. Here's the other side of that coin, and this is the part I want to spend some real time on. For every person who left and had something to say, there are people inside of this organization who will tell you that it's changed their entire life. Not because it was easy, because it's absolutely not been easy for anybody, but because they were pushed, because they were held to a standard, because someone believed in what they were capable of before they maybe even believed it themselves. High performers actually don't want to be coddled. I've really learned that. They want to be challenged. They want to be in a room where people around them are operating at a different level that forces them to level up. They want accountability because they know accountability is what separates intention from results. And when you build a culture like that, when you build a strata salon even, those of you that are listening that are actively building a strata salon, you're actually looking for the people that want the path that actually leads them somewhere. The irony is that the very things that make high performers love an environment are the exact same things that make the wrong fit run for the hills. The standards, the intensity, the refusal to lower the bar because someone is just uncomfortable. And this is actually the thing that I see so many salon owners do is they lower the bar. They, maybe slide on some of the standards and the things that they've put in place because they have this paralyzing fear that someone is going to leave and someone's going to leave the organization. And this is where you end up damaging yourself long term. You end up with people inside of your organization that are, quite frankly, only staying because you changed the standards to fit what they wanted and what felt comfortable for them. It's the most challenging thing as a leader. Like, I promise you, for lack of better words, and sorry for anyone that hates this word because I sometimes hate it too, but it's a mind fuck for a leader because you've battled this because we naturally just love people. We naturally want people to stay in our lives and we naturally don't want to lose people or for sure don't want to have bad blood with people. But you sticking to the standard of building what you actually want to build and you're set out to build because let's be honest, we don't just pick standards because we like it, right? We pick a standard because it's what we know is going to get people to the next level. And so if we come back from those standards and come off of those standards, then you're doing your people a disservice. And that's the connection that got me to the mindset that I'm at today, that, even though it might mean someone, making a departure, it also is me standing up for what I know is right and what's actually going to help people succeed. And you have to pick what's more important to you. And sometimes in life and in business, that can be the hardest decision that we make. And as a leader, your job is to not make your culture just customized for everyone or for everyone to like. Your job is to be so clear about your values, your standard, and your vision that the right people self-select in and the wrong people self-select out. Ideally, before they could ever walk through your door, which is why we teach salon owners how to dial in that interview process. So let's talk about the solution. What do you do when someone leaves and they decide to have a bunch of noise about it? Because it will happen. If you are building something that demands excellence, it will happen. And how you handle it says everything about your leadership. First, your first reaction should not be reacting publicly. I know it's tempting, especially if you are wired like me at all. It is very, very tempting to correct people. I know when someone is on TikTok saying things that aren't true about the organization you have poured your absolute life into and spent time away from your family to build, and so has the people inside of it. If you don't even care to protect yourself, you do feel this immense need to protect the people that are left in there, still in the organization. And the thing is that should not be your first reaction. Now, am I telling you that sometimes it is okay to protect yourself publicly? Absolutely. I think there is a time and a place for it. If someone's going out of their way to destroy, but if people are out there just posting sideways memes and TikToks and stuff, let them be, because that's how they're coping with the decision or whatever went down, right? And that's okay. Let them be. And I cannot say that enough, because I do see a lot when a leader is just publicly constantly defending themselves against a former employee. I feel like you've kind of already lost the optics. Regardless of who is right, your reputation is built in the room, not in your comment sections. I cannot say that enough. Your reputation is built on your results. And I get why leaders can sometimes get a little hurt a lot by these type of things going on, because maybe you haven't quite built the stat that you feel like you should, and imposter syndrome comes in. I mean, I could go on and on. There's so many psychological things about things like this that happen. Go build the stat, because someone that is just trying to publicly attack you is not your results, and it's not your stats, because those things are the things that people actually look at, especially the sane people. And that's the only people that you probably care about what they think. Second, you have to get honest with yourself privately, not because they're right, but because good leaders use every piece of feedback, even bad faith feedback, you guys, as an opportunity to audit. Ask yourself, is there anything in what they're saying that points to something that I can improve? And yes, improve it. If not, release it. Third, protect your team's focus. The people inside of your organization are watching how you handle this. If you spiral, they spiral. If you stay grounded and focused, they stay grounded and focused. Your composure is a leadership tool, because remember, leadership is nothing but influence. And I've already spoke on this, but fourth, let your results speak for themselves. The best response to someone calling your culture toxic is a team full of people who are thriving, growing, and winning. Not because you built it to prove a point, but because that's what you are building all along. That's the answer, and that will always be the answer. And fifth, this is maybe the most important one. Know the difference between a values mismatch and a leadership failure. Because sometimes people leave and the honest answer is that the organization failed them. I have been the leader, you guys, that have failed people. I am at the part in my journey where I can absolutely admit that. And thank God for those experiences, because I've been able to learn from them and improve myself and get real with myself. But, sometimes maybe the expectations just weren't communicated clearly. It could be a number of things. Maybe someone was put in a role that they absolutely weren't ready for. I've done that probably more recently than most people realize. Maybe the support wasn't there. Own that, you guys. Own that and fix that. A leader who can't distinguish between they weren't the right fit and I didn't set them up to succeed is a leader who will keep making the same mistakes over and over. And I see this all the time. Accountability runs both directions, you guys. That's what makes it credible. So after all of that, here's what I want to leave with you. When you are building something at a high level, when you have standards, when you have a vision, when you refuse to lower the bar, you are going to be misunderstood by some people, and sometimes loudly, like we've talked about. And in those moments, you have to be clear on what you are actually protecting. The worst thing that you can do as a leader is to protect your ego. You are not protecting your reputation on social media. You are protecting the people inside of your organization who have showed up, done the work, and chose to build something with you. You are protecting the culture that makes your success possible. You're protecting the standard that makes what you're building worth anything at all. The noise from the outside is always going to be louder than the quiet wins happening on the inside. It's just the nature of it. Negativity travels fast, and it is loud, and it hurts. But I promise you, you guys, if you can stay focused, if you can keep building and you can keep holding the standard, the results will be absolutely undeniable. And the people who are meant to be inside of what you're building will find their way there. We are not toxic. We are just absolutely not for everyone. And that is not a problem. That's just a filter. If you are a stylist listening to this and something resonated, ask yourself honestly, which environment you actually want to be in. Not which one sounds comfortable, because comfort will never get you to success. Which one is going to get you where you actually want to go? And if you're a salon owner or a business owner, stop apologizing for your standards. Stop shrinking your vision to accommodate people who are never going to stay anyway. Build the culture, hold the line, handle the exits with class, and just keep going and keep building. The best thing that you can do for the people who are meant to be inside of your organization is refuse to compromise what makes it worth being in. I'll see you next time.